I've never liked storage facilities. Something about long hallways lined with locked metal doors feels too much like a place where the world forgets about you. But in summer 2022, I needed one fast. I was moving into a smaller apartment and had boxes everywhere, so I rented a unit in a place just outside town, cheap, quiet, and open 24 hours. The first 2 visits were normal. But on the third, I arrived around 10 p.m., dragging in some last-minute boxes. The lot was empty except for a single pickup truck parked near the entrance. The engine was off, but the headlights were still faintly glowing, like the battery was dying. I walked inside, punched in my code, and stepped into the hallway. Something immediately felt wrong. Usually the lights hummed loudly. Tonight they were silent. A few of the bulbs flickered, casting long, jittery shadows across the concrete floor. I reached my unit, #119, slid it open, and started stacking boxes. After a few minutes, I heard footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Coming from the far end of the hallway. I poked my head out. Nobody there. But the footsteps didn't stop. They shifted, now sounding like they were above me. Impossible. The facility was 1 story. I tried to ignore it and kept working, but then something metallic scraped across the concrete right behind me. A chill went down my spine. I turned. Nothing. I finished quickly, slid the lock shut, and started walking toward the exit. That's when the footsteps returned, fast this time. Running. I turned around and froze. A figure stood at the far end of the hallway. Tall. Very tall. At least 6.5 feet. Wearing a torn grey hoodie with the hood drawn so low that its face was just a void. It wasn't walking toward me. It was twitching. Like glitching in and out of motion. 1 step, then a sudden lurch forward, then stillness. My heart hammered. I stepped back. The figure suddenly tilted its head at me, slowly, like it had never used a neck before. I sprinted for the exit. Behind me, I heard its footsteps explode into the hallway. The door hissed open just as something slammed into the metal from the other side, rattling the entire building. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. The pickup truck was still there. Headlights almost completely dead now. But someone was inside. A man. Eyes wide. Staring at me like he'd seen a monster. When he rolled down his window, his voice shook. "Did you see him?" I swallowed hard. "Who?" I thought he was following just me, he whispered. "He lives under the units. In the crawl spaces. Comes out at night." I didn't answer. I just sped out of the lot and never went back. The next day, I called the facility to cancel my contract. The manager told me something that still keeps me up. There's no crawl space under our units. Pause. And Unit 119 was supposed to stay locked. The tenant who rented it last disappeared in 2019. I hung up. I don't know what followed me that night. But sometimes, late at night, I swear I hear heavy footsteps above my ceiling. In winter 2018, I lived in a quiet neighborhood at the top of Ridgeview Drive, a dead-end road with maybe 7 houses total. Very peaceful. Very safe. Also, I thought. One stormy night around 1 a.m., the power suddenly went out. My entire house went dark, no phones, no Wi-Fi, nothing. I grabbed a flashlight and looked outside. All the houses were dark except one. The McAllister place. Their windows glowed with a faint yellow light. Flickering. Not like a lamp, like a flame. But the weirdest part? The house had been vacant for months. The family moved away after their son died in an accident. Before I could process anything, my dog, Dex, started growling at the front door. Low. Deep. I'd never heard that sound from him. Then 3 knocks echoed through the house. Slow. Evenly spaced. Like someone rehearsed it. I froze. Dex growled louder. The knocks came again, this time softer, almost polite. I approached the door and looked through the peephole. My stomach dropped. A woman stood on my porch. Long dark hair hanging over her shoulders. A white nightgown soaked from the rain. She wasn't looking at the door, just staring down at her bare feet. "Are you okay?" I asked. Her head snapped upward so fast I flinched. Her eyes were huge and completely bloodshot. "I need to come in," she whispered. "No, I can call someone for you." Her lips curled downward, almost trembling. "Let me in." Dex barked wildly behind me. Then, from outside, another voice, deeper, spoke from somewhere in my yard. "Ask her again." I flipped the deadbolt instantly. My flashlight flickered. The power stayed off. The woman pressed her face against the door, hair sticking to the glass. "You should have let me in." I backed away fast and grabbed the baseball bat I kept in the closet. Then, silence. Total silence. No voices. No rain. No wind. I looked through the peephole again. Empty porch. Empty yard. Nothing. After 20 tense minutes, the power snapped back on. Lights flickered across the neighborhood, including the McAllister house. But the moment my lights came back, theirs went off. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I checked my doorbell camera footage. It had recorded everything, but glitched at the exact moment the woman's face came into view. The whole file was corrupted from that moment onward. A few days later, I drove past the McAllister house. A candle flickered inside one of the upstairs rooms. I moved out the next month. In late summer 2020, I took a weekend trip to a remote coastline in Oregon. I needed quiet, no tourists, no noise, just ocean and sky. I rented a tiny cabin on a cliff that overlooked an empty beach. It was perfect during the day. But at night? Something felt wrong. On my first evening, after sunset, I walked down to the beach. The only light came from the moon and the waves reflecting it. Peaceful. Calming. Then I saw him. A man standing ankle-deep in the surf. Perfectly still. Facing the ocean. Not moving a muscle. He didn't look like someone enjoying the view. He looked placed there. I called out, "You okay?" He didn't respond. I stepped closer. Maybe 30 feet away. His clothes were soaked. His hair hung over his face. His arms were stiff at his sides. Something in my gut screamed at me to leave. I backed away slowly and returned to the cabin. Around 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of footsteps. Soft. Wet. Moving around the back of the cabin. I sat up, heart pounding. Then came a tapping sound, slow and rhythmic, on the window next to my bed. I forced myself to look. A handprint smeared across the glass. A long one. Unnaturally long, like the fingers weren't shaped right. I grabbed my phone. No signal. Another tap. Then another. Faster. I pulled aside the curtain for one brief second. The man from the beach stood outside, face pressed to the window. His eyes were bright white in the moonlight, reflecting nothing human. His mouth hung open like he was gasping for air. But the worst part? He wasn't breathing. His chest didn't move. Not once. I stumbled backward. The tapping turned into frantic pounding. The entire cabin shook violently, like something enormous was slamming against it. Then it stopped. Everything went silent except the wind. I didn't sleep. At sunrise, I rushed outside. Footprints led away from the cabin, straight toward the ocean. But when they reached the waterline, they continued. Straight into the waves. Farther than any human could walk without sinking. I left that morning and never looked back. Some nights when I close my eyes, I still see his face, pale, bloated, eyes glowing like two headlights underwater. And sometimes, when I shower, I swear I hear tapping through the pipes.